Hello, everyone, and welcome to this sacred circle. I am Abiola Abrams, and this series is the Global Goddess Rising Circle. I am so thrilled about these conversations that we've been having over the past week and all through the month of October. We will be gathering together in circle to celebrate the energy of the divine feminine rising. And we are, of course, also celebrating my new deck, the African Goddess Rising Oracle. And you have to say it just like that. The African Goddess Rising Oracle cards. And this deck is based on my new book, The African Goddess Initiation. African Goddess Initiation, Sacred Rituals for Self-Love, Prosperity, and Joy. So you want to make sure that you subscribe at globalgoddessclub.com, because there are some conversations like today's that are not happening in the regular Monday through Thursday time slot. On Mondays through Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we are broadcasting from the Hay House social channels. And I'm sharing with you things like how to use the deck and all of those things, plus these conversations that you don't want to miss. So make sure you register at globalgoddessclub.com. Somebody put that in the comments for me, please. globalgoddessclub.com. globalgoddessclub.com. So today's conversation is one that I have been eagerly anticipating and very excited about. This book includes primarily two different kinds of spirit guides, ancestors and goddesses. And one of the main questions that I get is, how do you know your spirit guides? How do you connect with your spirit guides? How do you acknowledge your spirit guides? How do you go deeper with them? And now I'm thrilled that there is a book that I can reference that discusses specifically this topic. So let me introduce my beautiful sister friend who is here with us. Goddess Yamile Yemoonyah is a spirit guide medium, award-winning author of the 7 Types of Spirit Guide, and host of the Spirit Guide Show. Since her spirit guide appeared to her in physical form 20 years ago, she has helped thousands of people connect with their own spirit guides through private readings, courses, workshops, and her weekly online show. Hello, Goddess. Yeah, I'm so happy to meet you, Goddess Yamile. I'm sending you a hug through the airwaves.
I'm so happy to be here, and congratulations with your new deck. I'm really excited to get into that as well. It looks amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sis. So please let people know what it is that you are all about. What is the magic that you came to bring to this planet?
So I'm a spirit guide medium, which means that I can sense other people's spirit guides, so my own as well, of course, but other people's as well. And I can connect people with their spirit guides, tell them who their spirit guides are, and give them messages from them. And I also teach people how to connect with their guides themselves.
This is such an important teaching, because one of the things that when you are an intuitive person that you can see as you go about your day in the general population is how many people are disconnected from their guidance. And if they only knew, there's that saying, if we knew who walked beside us, we would never fear. If you knew who lifted you up, you would never fear. You had a very powerful experience that you share in your book at, I think it was age 21.
Yeah, around that time.
Yes, can you share with us?
Yeah, so that was the beginning of my spiritual journey a little bit, because you have to know I was adopted as a baby. And I was born in Colombia. I'm of like partially African, partially Colombian indigenous descent. And so I only knew about my mother, that she's partially indigenous. And I wanted to know more because I felt like depressed and stuck, and I didn't know where I was gonna go. I still didn't know what I was gonna be when I grow up. And so I wanted to know more about my roots. So I started doing some research, found out that, like I said, my birth mom is like from the west coast of Colombia. They live in the rainforest there and still have like a fairly traditional lifestyle with shamanism and everything around it. So I started learning about shamanism and started reading some books about that. And then just a few weeks later, in the middle of the night, I wake up and I open my eyes, and there's this like guy standing in the middle of my bedroom. And I'm really confused because I'd never seen this guy before. He was there in full physical form. He was wearing jeans, no shirt, no socks or shoes, just the jeans. He had short, dark hair and darker skin, little like mine. And I was just staring at him. And I knew like it wasn't someone who had broken into my house. I knew it was like a spiritual thing, but I couldn't really explain it. And as I just stared at him, and I realized that I couldn't move. I had sleep paralysis at the moment. I didn't know what that was, but now I do. And then he stared back at me, and out of nowhere, he produced this like red glowing orb. And I saw it, and he threw it over to me. And I remember that I felt the impact it made on my bed. And then the next thing I knew was like that I must have passed out, because in the next morning I wake up, my eyes are still closed. And before I closed my eyes, before even my brain started working, I started searching for that red glowing orb because I felt it on the bed. And then my brain started working. I was like, oh my God, what was that? And I called my friend because we started this journey together, and we were both signed up for a workshop a few days later. We took the train to Berlin where the workshop was, and on the train journey we talked about it again, like, who was that guy? That was so weird. And we get there to the workshop, and the guy first, so the leader of the workshop first teaches us and says, what we're going to learn first is how to communicate or to connect with your spirit helpers. That's how he called them. And he said, when that happens, and here's how, and he explained how we had to do it. And then he said, when that happens, the first time you meet them, they usually give you energy, either by giving you a hug and you really feel the energy go into your body, or sometimes they give you the energy in form of a red glowing orb. And so I was like, oh my God. So like this guy was my spirit guide. And that's how my whole journey started.
Oh, that is beautiful. That's beautiful. And I love that you felt the energy and you knew that it wasn't a fearful experience. Because a lot of
Yeah.
times, people will feel like, okay, well, how do I know? And is this
Yeah.
scary?
Yeah.
And I have people in my family who are also intuitive, but have tried to block that energy because it's something that scared them. So, what is your advice for people who may be feeling fearful of this? There's a lot of fear. People feel like, okay, well, how do I know? Is that the devil? And there's a lot of that talk.
Yeah. So first of all, stop watching scary Hollywood movies. That's number one. Because that's a big reason why people are scared. They watch these movies and they think if you connect with your guides, you're gonna see like I did, but that's not very common that they physically appear in your bedroom. So seriously, like stop watching these movies, stop listening to scary stories, and then just take it one step at a time. So I once tried to connect with my guides, and I could feel that like there was a spirit in the other room, and I got a little bit scared. Usually I don't. I've seen all kinds of things and I usually don't get scared, but in this instance I was a little bit scared because I felt there was a spiritual being in the other room. And I told my guide, listen, like if it's you, then show me that it's you in a way that doesn't scare me. And what I then saw in my mind's eye was like Winnie the Pooh. And I had to laugh because this guide that I thought it might be is bear spirit. So usually he shows himself like either as a big brown bear or black bear or something like this. And because I asked, like, please show yourself in a way that doesn't scare me, he showed himself as Winnie the Pooh. And obviously I had to laugh because I was like, oh, it's you. Okay. And so you can do the same. Just ask your guides to like show themselves. If you're scared to see them, then say, maybe don't show yourself in a visual form, but let me know that you're here by a feeling, maybe a feeling of love, or maybe I just want to hear you. You can talk to them. They're just like you and I in that sense, that they're connected to you in unconditional love. They want to help you. They're not here to scare you. So take it one step at a time, take it slow, and just ask them to work with you in a way that doesn't scare you.
Beautiful. Well, let's take it one step back. So I mentioned ancestors and goddesses that are in my book and work. There are 7 kinds of spirit guides. Can you please break down for everyone who is watching what those 7 different kinds of guides are?
Sure. So we have ancestors. Most people know what ancestors are. So most people think about like parents, grandparents, etc. When it comes to spirit guides, they can go back way much further. So they can go back hundreds of years or even thousands of years. And that's because like especially our main guides have been with us our entire lives. And obviously, if let's say your mom or your dad passes away, they have been here with you in the physical, so they can't be your main guide. That doesn't mean that they're not around and help you and all that, but they can't be your main guide. So usually they are from further back. Then we have angels. Most people know what angels are. Don't think I have to explain that very much. Then we have ascended masters, and these are beings that once were incarnated as humans here on planet Earth, but they reached enlightenment and therefore don't reincarnate anymore. And so they're helping from the other side. They're often people that have followed spiritual traditions and have reached enlightenment that way. Then we have animal guides. And these are not like the souls of an individual animal, let's say your pet that has passed away, but it's the spirit of the entire species. So like I said earlier, one of my guides is bear spirit. It's not an individual bear, it's the spirit of all bears. Then we have nature spirits. And in the Western world, we usually know them as fairies, gnomes, elves, and all these beings. Of course, in different cultures, spiritual traditions, countries, they have different names, but they're always connected to nature. And then we have deities, gods and goddesses. And these are, really old beings that have supernatural powers. They have their own agenda, and I don't mean this in a negative sense, but they are individual beings, and they often work with groups of people. And so yes, you can have a deity as your spirit guide, but it's not like they just work with you, just to make that very clear. Similar to the archangels that also work with lots of different people at the same time. And then last but not least, we have star beings. And these are, you can also call them aliens, but again, too many people have seen too many scary Hollywood movies, so I don't like to call them that. And also there are all kinds of different star beings, not just the ones that we know, like with the big gray heads and the almond-shaped eyes. And these beings are often here to help us bring in new energies that haven't been on Earth for a long time or never. And they often work with people that are into technologies, and not just like, let's say, computers and stuff, but also new technology when it comes to cooking or knitting. So any kind of new energy that comes in, if you're someone who likes to work with that, then you probably work with a star being. So these are the 7 types.
I love that you pointed out that, with ancestral beings, for example, that they go back thousands of years, because one of the things that people will say when it comes to ancestor work is, well, I didn't like my ancestors, or my ancestors were good people, or why would I work with them? And my sister and I have both had the experience where mediums have shared with us that they see us walking with a heavy set grandmother, but none of our known grandmothers were heavy set, women.
Yeah.
So your ancestors go back thousands of years. Can you say a bit more about, I know ancestors and angels, you didn't go into that much detail because, people know generally what those terms refer to, but let's go deeper. Let's talk about ancestors as spirit guides and angels as spirit guides.
So we all obviously have ancestors, otherwise we wouldn't be here. So we all have ancestors, spirit guides, and we all have angel spirit guides. And ancestors, like you said, a lot of people think that you have to know who they are, what their names are, what they looked like, etc. You don't. Like I said earlier, I was adopted as a baby. I don't know anything about my ancestors. And still, you can connect with them on a spiritual level. You do not have to name and know any details. So I feel very much connected to my ancestors. And without my ancestors, I wouldn't be where I am today. Absolutely not. And they have guided me from the start. And I started realizing that around that time when I saw this spirit guide that appeared in my bedroom in physical form, because he is one of my ancestor guides. And so I can feel and distinguish between my indigenous ancestor guides, my African ancestor guides, and my Dutch ancestor guides, even though I'm not like biologically related to them, but by adoption, they're still around me. And then I also have Spanish ancestor guides. So all of these are with me and I feel them very much, and they all help me with different things. And so everyone can do the same. Just all you have to do really is like really set the intention. And that's really the main thing when it comes to connecting with your guides. It's your intention. It's not just saying it, but really meaning it from your heart that you want to connect, and speaking to them from your heart and let them know why you want to connect, or ask them, what is it that you have to like show me? What is it that you want to tell me? What is it that I can do for my lineage? Because we all carry karma from our lineage. And I don't mean that in a negative sense. People always assume that karma is negative. That's not true. Karma is also things that we inherit, like gifts and skills and talents. And so just ask them to like, what can I do to help my lineage? What can I do to help the world? And how can you support me in that? And they will. You might not realize it right away. You might not see them. You might not hear like their voices, like a booming voice from heaven, but you might suddenly meet people that help you with what you want to do. Or you might suddenly see a book that falls off the shelf that has exactly the information you need. And so your ancestors can communicate with you in all kinds of ways that help you forwards.
Yes, and thank you for pointing out that, if you are adopted, because it's another question that I get, and I was given the same guidance that you have now the lineage that of the family that your family of origin, but also the family that raised you. You have all of those. You have a beautiful advantage of, dual sets, all of these sets of
Yes.
spirit guides who are protecting you. Let's talk a bit more about the ways that people can connect, because people assume that, and you alluded to it a little bit, but people say, well, my friend can hear her guides, or my friend can see her guides. And so, some people are clairsentient, some people are clairaudient, some people, we have different gifts in the same ways that we have different love languages and different ways that we connect with our guides.
Yes. So, like you already said, a lot of people watch movies and then they assume that's how it's supposed to be, that you see them in front of you or that you hear their voice outside of you. And that's not how it usually works. Even for professional mediums, psychics, for me, same. When I do readings one-on-one, I don't see the spirit guide in physical form. I see them in my mind's eye. And so, unfortunately, especially in the Western world, in the richer countries, we have learned to completely ignore anything that is not like that we can't touch or see. And so our brain is trained to automatically filter everything out that is not real. And so we talk to our guides all the time. Everyone does. And they talk to us all the time. We just don't realize it because our brain automatically filters it out, because we think, oh, I just made that up. Oh, or you have this feeling, you get like the hair stands up at the back of your neck or something like this. And in that moment, you know that something happened, but immediately you say, oh, well, maybe I just made it up. And then you dismiss it. And really, connecting with your guides is about becoming more sensitive to these like really subtle communications that we get, and to ignore these Western rules of like only what we can feel is right. And there's a meditation that I teach how to connect with your guides, and it's really first you sit and meditate for a few minutes to just let your brain calm down, and then you connect with the earth by visualizing roots that come out of your root chakra and grow into the earth, to the center of the earth where they wrap around a crystal. And then you connect with the center of the universe by opening up your crown chakra and visualizing a white pillar of light, and then breathe in the air of the universe into you through that white pillar of light. And that I do that in the beginning so that people feel centered, and that you're centered, and that you feel connected to Mother Earth and safe and held, so that you can't get lost, because a lot of people are afraid that they get lost when they meditate or connect with their guides. So that's number one. And then you start focusing on your third chakra, and that's your power center, really. And so I visualize a yellow sun that's sitting there, and that expands with your breathing, and it becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until it creates a space around you, a sacred space. And then you can add an extra protection layer if you're nervous about that. And then you ask your guide to come and join you in that sacred space that you've just created. And you don't ask any questions, you don't ask for messages, because this is the first time. So it's just like learning to play the piano. It's a skill, and everyone can learn that skill, but you can't expect to sit down for the first time and play Beethoven or Mozart. So don't start asking your guide for the meaning of life, or should you get married to Harry or Barry or anything like that. You want to like really ask simple questions. But let's first just sit with your guide as if he was they were your best friend, and you don't even have to speak, and just sit there with them and enjoy their energy, and see if you can feel the difference between when they're in your space that you just created, it's different than when they're outside of your space. So let them step in and out of your space a few times so that you feel the difference. And when you feel their presence, then you also kind of like trick your brain, in the sense that your brain now knows, oh, I'm not making this up. Especially if you ask your guide, can you step into my space? And then you feel their presence. And then you ask them again, can you step out of my space? And you don't feel their presence. You know you're talking to an intelligent being. And it's different as when you just focus on your vision, because that is easy to dismiss as, oh, I just made it up. And so that's a way to like connect a first time. And then you can go further and ask them questions, yes and no questions. Again, simple questions. Should I wear this blue dress tonight? Yes or no? And then they can answer you by stepping into your space so that you feel their presence, and that's yes. And then let them step out again. And so you can build like a relationship really slowly. And this is like, yeah, obviously just explained in 3 minutes, but you have to practice every day and do this. And yeah, so that's also what I teach in my course, and that's more like 6 weeks, but this is like, yeah, what I teach.
This is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. We'll do another conversation where we can be led through and go on the journey, because people are hungry for this. They're hungry for the reconnection, because, you know, at one time it was natural that everyone knew that they had a relationship with their spirit guides and were connected, and we're so disconnected in this Western world that it's important for us to reconnect. So when it comes to the goddesses, will you share with us who the goddess is that you feel most connected to and why?
I feel very connected to Yemoonyah, and that was also from the beginning. Yes, yay! And I love that card. It's very, very beautiful. So yeah, I've been feeling felt connected to her for 25 years, I think. So I've done first of all, I'm a Virgo with a Pisces ascendant, so that's like half woman, half fish.
Yes.
So there you go. That's number one. And then also, I've done ayahuasca ceremonies, I think maybe 10 or even a little bit more. And every time I do it, and I connect with the mermaid world. So I do the ayahuasca ceremony. I start feeling the ayahuasca working in me, and I go and like almost as if I dive into like the ocean, and I go down, 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 and then I see the mermaids, and they take me wherever they want to take me, and then I experience whatever they want me to experience. So yeah, I'm very connected to Yemoonyah, and I love her energy very much. And also, what I learned is that Yemoonyah has several paths. So when you're an official, let's say, Yemoonyah priestess in Santeria, or one of the religions that work with her, there are several paths that you can take, and one of them is the one where Yemoonyah takes you to the marketplace. And for me, Yemoonyah was always someone who taught me about like business. And that's not very common that people connect that with her. But when I found out that that's one of her official paths, I was like, oh my God, that explains so much. Because really, she inspired me to like start an online business. And again, without her, I wouldn't be here, to be honest.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful. Let's, before we go, I would actually love for you to pull, I'm just so moved by everything that you said. So let's pull a card.
Yes,
I can cry afterward. I can cry afterward. Let's pull a card and from the deck. Again, we're pulling from the African Goddess Rising Oracle deck, and I'm gonna just shuffle and just clear a bit here. And then I'm going to ask you, please, Goddess Yamile, if you could please give us a number between 1 and 13.
7.
Okay. Of course, 7. All right. 1, 2. We have a jumper. 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. So the card that you pulled is Cosmic Power, Goddess Maulisa, the dual deity Maulisa that represent the sun and the moon, the yin and the yang, the balance of us owning, as you said, our power, the solar plexus chakra, or temple of warriors, as I call it in my passageway. And then your card that jumped out also, and I didn't even know that that I had 2 decks. I guess I have 2 decks together is also
Oh, wow.
realize I had 2 decks that I was working with.
That's
I must
amazing.
combine them accidentally, because we know there are no accidents. And so the message really is for all of us on this call to know that you are powerful beyond measure. You're more powerful than you think that you are connected to the sun, the moon. You are connected to the source of all that is, and that we are all just getting started. Please share
and
with
also the
yes.
balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, because it's the sun and the moon.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And this is the strongest place in the deck where the divine masculine shows up. And so that is a very important message for all of us who are here on this call. Please share with us, Goddess Yamile, how people can connect with you, go further, and be able to tap into the resources that you have. Oh.
So you can find me on my website, spiritguided.com, and there I have a quiz that you can take, which shows you which of the 7 spirit guides you have. So again, if it's an angel, ancestor, nature spirit, etc. And then, of course, you can also book a reading with me, take my course. But the quiz is really fun and should help you on your way to connect with your spirit guides.
Beautiful. So take the quiz, get the book. Absolutely get the book. And then connect with Goddess Yamile on social media as well at Yemoonyah, throughout social media. Thank you, Goddess. As someone says, Goddess,
thank you so much.
Yes, this was refreshing. Yes, it was. And I look forward to us connecting again, Goddess. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone. Sawubona.